Welcome back, people. This is the reading part of the exam. So you are 45 minutes in now, you've had a little daydream, and you're going to smash it on the reading questions and start by reading the text. Now, before you do this, you need to bug the blurb. There is a little box at the top of the reading part of the exam, and it tells you loads of stuff that is hard to work out. It tells you who the text is about. It tells you what happens in the story. And so, make a few notes on this. I'll give you an example of how to do that on the next slide. When you've done that, and you know and you've got it straight in your head who this is about and what happens, read each paragraph and at the side write a little note of what the paragraph focuses on, which character, what events, and any big things, any big events that happen. For people who want the higher grades, there are some hints of other things to do on the left there. You might want to pause and take note of those. So your text looks like this. You got 10 minutes to read it. I'd be reading this and I'd underline Billy is in his final year of secondary school, and I put a little note, so teenager. He lives with his mother and his older brother, and I'd underline that and put a little note, where's his dad, ? When Billy finds and trains a wild kestrel bird, Judd kills it out of spite. I'd underline that and put bird is dead, so that I've got it really straight in my head what this is about. And then I'd look at this first paragraph, and next to it I'd just write in a few words what happens in that paragraph. So I'd pause the video for 10 minutes and I'd get this really straight in your head, what happens in this text, and then it'll be a lot easier to answer the questions. Okay, once you've done that then, we can go on to the next. Hold on a second. Did you skip bugging the blurb? Did you not write down what each paragraph is about? Well, you are about to go into the reading section with basically no idea what the text is about, and this kind of person does exist in the world. All I can say about them is,
no, I don't hate that boy, but I pity the fool.
Okay, so question 1 I like to think of as the tweezers question, where you need to know exactly what you're looking for, and then you just reach into the text and pull it out. You have 5 minutes. You need to bug question 1 so you know what you're looking for. If it's all about a character who's the mum, then you know that you can't do any answers that aren't about the mum. Write 4 sentences about the different ideas you've got and make sure they're about the right person. You can check that they begin with the right pronoun. They should begin with he if it's about a man. They should begin with they if it's about a group of people. And don't use the word and in your answers by trying to mash 2 things into one. So pick one bit of information, make sure it's about the right person, and write a full sentence about it. You've got 5 minutes to do that now. I'd pause this and then carry it on afterwards. Okay, so question 2. Question 2 I like to think of as the pass the parcel question. This is all about picking up words and groups of words and then unwrapping everything they make us think about, where we normally meet that word, why it's a good word to describe the thing it's describing, how it might link to other words, how it might make us feel, like the different layers that you open up when you're playing pass the parcel. So this is 10 minutes for 3 paragraphs. You start by bugging the question. You focus on the key words they've asked you to look at. Then you read that paragraph at least twice, and I would look for patterns in the following things. First, I'd look at the verbs, the actions, the people moving and things moving. Are there any interesting ones of those? Do any of them link together? Then I'd look at the objects and names. Are there any interesting ones? Do any of them link together? Then I'd look at the descriptive words, the adjectives. Are there any interesting descriptions? Can you say anything about those? When you've done that, you'll probably have noticed some techniques. There might be some personification, there might be a simile, and there might be some onomatopoeia. So find that and underline it if it's about the thing you've been asked about. And last of all, when you've looked at the action words, objects and things, descriptive words, and all those techniques, try and find a sentence that you can say something about. Might be a short and dramatic, or a short and comical funny one, There might be a list in there, so try and find those. Now the big question for this is, how do these all work together? What are they telling us? The big marks here are for multiple interpretations, for pass the parcel. So you might find an interesting word or pair of words and say, oh, this is what we associate them with, and this is how they make us feel about the thing they're describing, and this is another way we could see that, and they might actually link to this other word later on, and they might make us feel like this, so that you're really unpacking the words. You do that for 3 paragraphs about 3 separate quotes or groups of quotes. If you're stuck for how to start, you can always look at the bottom here. Firstly, the writer, and then write your first paragraph. Secondly, the writer, then write your second paragraph. And finally, the writer, and write your third paragraph. And that means that you're focusing on the writer and their choices, which means you're going to do well. Again, for grade 7, 8 or 9, some hints up on the right there. So, your question looks like this, and you have 10 minutes now. Pause the video to write your 3 paragraphs. Okay, once you've done that, you might want to look at question 3. Question 3 I call the film camera question. And the reason for this is, it's if you imagine the story as being a film, the structure question is all about what is the camera pointing at? Has it zoomed in or out? Has it changed who it's pointing at? And why? What does it do to the tension? Does it head towards a climax? Does it make us think or feel anything specific by what the camera is pointing at? So the structure question is another one where you have 10 minutes for 3 paragraphs. A good thing to think here when you're annotating is, what is the focus at the start of the paragraph, of the text, and what is the tone? This might include such things as the introduction of a character. They might be the protagonist, the main character. There might be some tension because they've got a problem to solve. You then need to find a couple of big shifts in focus and tone during the middle of the text. The structural features here are shift in focus, shift in tone. It might get darker, it might get more comical, it might get more tense. There could be a rise in tension, and somewhere in there there's probably a climax, the bit that the whole story has been working towards, a confrontation of some couple of things. You then look at the end. What's the focus and the tone at the end? Is there a resolution where everything's kind of tied up? Or does it have maybe a cyclical structure where the end makes you think back to the start for some reason? So when you found the bit at the start you're going to focus on, the 2 big shifts in focus in the middle, and then the bit you're going to focus on at the end, remember when you're writing them up, again to talk about multiple things that these make us think and multiple ways it might make us feel. So you're going to write 4 paragraphs about these changes in focus. You might want to start them, as I say, at the bottom. At the beginning, the writer, in line 17, the writer, in paragraph 5, the writer, and then finally at the end, the writer. So you're really focusing on the writer in their choices. Grade 7 and 9, you know the drill. You've got some hints on the right. So, 10 minutes to find those bits of the text you're going to look at for structure, and then to write your 4 paragraphs about structure. Pause the video now, and then come back when you're done. Okay, well done, you're nearly there. You're on question 4, the 20 marker. It's as serious as this guy looks. Question 4, we've all talked about as the lawyer question. This is where you prove something is right, as if you're in a court of law. You prove a statement about the text. So, you're going to go for 4 paragraphs and you've got 20 minutes. First of all, you underline the 2 things in the statement you are trying to prove. There's usually 2. Then you highlight the parts of the text that relate to these 2 things. When we did this about Alfred in propping up the line, it was about the horrors of war and the dramatic effects on him. Secondly, you look around what you've highlighted for the same stuff you looked for in question 2. Are there any patterns in the verbs, the actions, the nouns, the objects, or the adjectives, the describing words, do they prove something about your statement? Then you've probably noticed there might be some techniques. Are there similes, metaphors, personification, onomatopoeia? If there are, highlight those if they are relevant and they prove the thing we're trying to prove. Last of all, can you say something about sentences? Do the shorter, more dramatic sentences or the longer lists in this text prove anything about what you're trying to prove? The big marks here, just the same as for question 2 and 3, are for the multiple interpretations. So we're doing pass the parcel and we're unwrapping something and saying, well, this proves what I'm trying to prove because it makes us think of this, and it also makes us think of the person in the text like this, and it also links to this later on, and it makes us feel this way. Try and finish each paragraph by linking back to the question. What are the 2 things you're trying to prove, and why does what you've just said prove that? If you're stuck for how to start, there are some ideas at the bottom, but you're probably a bit familiar with these by now. So good luck. You've got 20 minutes to annotate and then to write your 4 paragraphs up, and you're done. Pause now and unpause when you're finished. Okay, so that is that. Well done. That was your question 4. And the key things that we've learned by doing this practice at home is that in question 5, in the mock exam, you are going to plan your writing. When you read, you are going to bullet point the focus for each paragraph to get the whole thing straight in your head. In question 1, you are going to pick out the right parts for those 4 marks. In question 2, you are going to unwrap the words you've selected and tell us lots and lots about their connotations, what they make us think and feel, and how they work together. In question 3, you're going to look where the camera is pointing and think about what effect that has on our journey. And in question 4, you are going to prove those 2 big things in the statement. Okay, good luck everybody, and thank you for going through this video.